Hey guys, what is going on? It's your good buddy Sam, and it's time for another exciting Max 8 tutorial. This one I'm recording in the morning. I think I've never recorded one of these in the morning before. I hope it goes okay. What I wanted to talk about today is this new thing. Maybe you heard of it. It's called Node for Max. And I think it's interesting. So there's lots of new features in Max 8. There's some really amazing stuff. There's MC, there's parameter mapping, and I think with most of those things, so MC, multi-channel, obviously amazing. Parameter mapping, yes, we've wanted this forever, it's in there, that's great. And then you read this node feature, and I'm sure for many people, you're sort of like, okay, that's cool, but I don't really understand what that's for. And I think that makes sense. I made a helpful chart to explain what I think is going on here. If you kind of look, so here's a chart, and on the x-axis here, you've got, imagine this is different things that people want to do. And then they're sort of sorted by how many people want to do that thing. So you got here on like the left part of this chart, for example, you've got, oh boy, zooming in has had an interesting effect on this patch. But anyway, in the left part of this chart here, you've got like, this is things that, I want to play an instrument. I want to have some kind of sound file, and I want to play that sound at normal speed. And then out here, you have kind of more esoteric things that people want to do. So maybe, I want a patch that plays all the episodes of Xena Warrior Princess backwards. And out here, you've got, I want to make a Max patch that automatically generates names for bespoke potpourri. Things that only one or two people want to do, but it's not always clear what the right tool is to do that thing. And oftentimes, I think Node for Max is going to represent that kind of Swiss Army knife that just gives you, you need a Max patch that can unzip a file, or you need a Max patch that can update your computer. Node for Max can help you do that kind of thing. So that's kind of what it's there for, to give you a lot of broad flexibility for a range of projects. And I'll show you now kind of one of the things that you can do with Node for Max, which is to make a chord detector. So the idea here, please, no. I wish with this, do you want to enable Ask Siri button? I really wish there were a never button, and then next to that, like a never and go away and I hate you button. That would be the button that I would push. I imagine it's over here somewhere. Anyway, so I'm going to come into this patch and start by just making this might be a bit too zoomed in now. I'm going to start by making this, okay, so what are we going to do? I want to play notes on my computer keyboard here, and then have Max tell me what chord I'm playing. Let's start just by saving this patch. I'm going to make a new folder on my desktop, and we'll call it detect, and I'll call this patch detect. And then I'm going to make a, so if you have, on OS 10 anyway, if you go into audio MIDI setup, you can find, and you open up MIDI Studio, you can find this thing called the Iac Driver. And if you come into the Iac Driver and turn it on, that gives you this network bus that you can use to bus MIDI around your machine. And in particular, then, it lets you do something like note in Iac Driver bus 1. And then if you come to extras, key MIDI, and start hitting keys, these will actually come in through the Iac driver bus. So this window in focus, yeah, you can play keys and get the MIDI notes, which is super handy. You can also pack these and send them to a K slider. And if you do K slider at mode 1, that starts the K slider in polyphonic mode. So just by doing this, we can get a nice keyboard display of the key that we have held down, which is nice. So what I want to do now is collect all of these notes into a list. So just get a list of all the notes that happen to be held that are also, a list of all the MIDI pitches that are currently held down. And it's surprisingly difficult to do this. I have to use a slightly esoteric object called bag. If you have a better way to do this, by all means, let me and the rest of the world know, because I don't think this is the best way to do it. But what I'm going to do is throw in a trigger bang bang list here. So we'll take what comes out of this. K slider object as a list of a pitch and a velocity. and send this into this trigger bang bang list, and first send the list to bag. And then after that, we bang on bag. And this will just print out one after the other every single note that's held down. So when a number gets paired with anything other than 0, it gets stored in the bag. When it gets paired with a 0 on a note off, it gets removed from the bag. And then banging on this bag will spit out everything that's in the bag. And then to collect everything that's in the bag, we'll use this guy called ZL group. Things are coming out of bag one at a time, and ZL group just groups them together. So a bit of a convoluted mess there to actually get this stuff. But now, hopefully, yeah, there's all the chords, or the notes rather, in the chord that I'm playing. So sweet. As MIDI pitches. Okay, so we finished mostly with the max portion of the program, and it's time to start talking about Node. So you've probably used this object before called JS, where you have a JavaScript file that defines some behavior, and Max loads that file to initialize the JS object. Very similar with node.script, you need a script file, which is going to be where your Node script runs. So I'm going to open up, this is Visual Studio Code. Use whatever code editor you want. VS Code is the best, but you're welcome to use an inferior code editor if you so choose. That's called sarcasm, don't get mad. So now I'm going to make a new file, and I'm going to save this as, let's go to desktop, detect, and call this chord-detect.js. And now, back in Max, if I do node.script and give it chord-detect.js as the name, it should load up correctly, and that's fantastic. So what do you actually do with this node script thing? The idea is that you can define some behavior in here using the body of this JavaScript. Let's move this over here. Cool, so now we've got our two contexts here. This guy over here as well. So to communicate back and forth with Max, we need to load a package, and that package is called Max API. So in the script, I'm going to do const Max API equals require Max API. And then if we do Max API.outlet, hi there. Now I come back into Max and do script start, and sending this message to node.script, we can now see that node script prints out this message, hi there. Fantastic. So you may be wondering why you have to send this script start message, whereas with the JS object, the JavaScript is just running. You don't have to start it. What's actually happening here is there are now two applications running. There's Max and there's Node. Max is managing this particular Node application, but there's actually two things running, and this script start lets you start and stop that, whether with script start and script stop, you can start and stop that Node process. So if we want to actually get some response out of this chord thing, and by the way, if you don't want to have to keep sending this script start message, you can throw in here at autostart1 at watch1, and autostart1 will start this script automatically when it's created or when the patch loads, and at watch1 will restart the script whenever you change the file. So if I come in here and do, instead of hi there, I do hello you fancy lad, and then save this, it will now print hello you fancy lad, but this actually restarted the script. And if you look in the console here, you can see it says node child process quit, will restart. That's because something changed here. The node process manager detected the change and restart the script. Anyway, that's all happening there. One more thing I'll mention is that there's a great object called node.debug, which is going to look like garbage. It looks beautiful. It doesn't look very good when you're zoomed in. And now if I add some kind of, so when you hit script start, it'll tell you the process was successfully started. If I come in here and make some horrible syntax error and then save it, it'll say here, unable to launch process, and then point you to exactly the place in your file where there was some kind of error. So node.debug is what this thing is called. This is called node.debug. It's a super useful tool. Definitely, if you are working with node.script, get in the habit of reaching for node.debug when something goes wrong. I'm going to get rid of it here just because it's taking up too much space. And now we can get to the meat of this thing. What we want to do, let's detect some chords. The first thing we got to do is come in here and write maxapi.add handler. And this is how we create a function that will be called in Node in response to a message coming in from Max. Add handler takes two arguments. The first is the selector, or the message that we want to bind to this function. Let's start with one that goes challenge. And then this is the big arrow syntax for functions. It's new in, I don't know, ES5 or something. I'm not a JavaScript expert by any stretch, but it's just another way of writing function. And it's actually slightly more than that, but we're not going to talk about scope here, I promise. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So now challenge, we'll just do max API.outlet unhand my blancmange, you swine. And now if you come back into Max and write challenge and send this to node.script, challenge max API.outlet, it's not the missing semicolon, not the problem, script start, challenge. Oh, yes, I understand what happened there. So I needed to hit script start again because auto start and watch, the script won't be able to restart if there's a syntax error. So after you clear up a syntax error or a problem that prevents the script from starting, you have to manually hit script start again. If I had left my node.debug up, it would have been easy to see what was going on. But anyway, sending this challenge message to node.script causes this function to be called because of the challenge message here. That's not what we actually care about. I want to be able to send this chord to Max, to Node rather, and then have it detect for me what the chord is. And to detect the chord, we're going to use an awesome NPM library called Tonal. And this is something different. This is, I see. Okay. It's like a Bowflex and an iPad. Okay. While these people are exercising, we will instead look for Tonal NPM. And this is a JavaScript library, or a Node library that does all kinds of stuff like give you chords and scales, music theory stuff that isn't present in Max currently. Oh, interesting. So what you can do with this, for example, is pass a group of MIDI notes to this function called detect, and it will tell you what chord is present in those MIDI notes. So the first thing we need to do is install this npm package, and for that we need a Node package. The thing that, so the way that Node work is organized into bundles called packages, and a package contains at least two things. It contains the JavaScript files that are actually running, and it also contains something called package.json, which is just a structured data file that contains information about what that package, lots of things, what the package is named, what it depends on, these kind of things. So what I'm about to do, you can do all from within Max. I think it'll be easier to do it from the command line, and if you get used to this command line stuff, it's not complicated and you'll feel like a wizard in no time. There's to install Node and npm on your computer, I highly recommend nvm. I'm not going to cover installing it now, but it's pretty straightforward. You go to this web address and there's a script that you run and it will install nvm. NVM is awesome. I recommend you use it. Once you've got it installed, come back to open up your favorite terminal, and then go to the same folder that has all of our stuff in it. So desktop.detect. And now I'm inside this folder, and if I do ls, you can see there's our JavaScript file and there's our Max patch. And now I'm going to run npm init. And this is going to ask me a bunch of questions about my package. I'm just going to hit enter because it doesn't really matter. And then if I now open up this package.json file, so here's the detect folder that has the chord detect, our Max patch, and our package.json. And you can see this package.json has information about our patch. It's our project rather. Our package. Its name, some version number, etc. But the important thing now is that I can come back into the command line here, and I can do npm install tonal-detect. and this will install the tonal detect package. And if I check in node modules now, I can see here tonal detect has been included. So this is the basic tripartite node package system. You have your scripts, your node scripts that are just JavaScript, package JSON, which is this structured list of information about the package and other packages that it depends on, and node.modules. This will be downloaded automatically. This is all the stuff that comes that your package depends on, all the other packages that you need in order to run your scripts. If node modules gets deleted, and usually when you download an npm package, if you download one off GitHub, for example, there won't be any node modules folder. You just run npm install with no arguments, and it will look in package.json and then download all the node modules that your package has listed as dependencies in package.json. So I'm also going to throw in here npm install s tonal because I want both tonal detect as well as tonal itself. Cool. So that's all that npm stuff covered. Now we can actually use this stuff. All we have to do to use it is require them in the same way that we require the Max API. So I can do const detect equals require tonal detect. And now we've got this detection library from tonal. So rather than this, I'll add another handler here, max API.add handler detect. And I'm going to do ... MIDI notes. Now this ... syntax here, this is called a spread operator. And what this does is I don't know how many notes are going to be in my chord. So I don't know how many arguments to give this function. If I don't put these dots here, then detect will just assign the first note of the chord to this value MIDI note. So watch, if I do max API dot outlet MIDI note. I call this MIDI notes, not MIDI note. And then if I do here, so from CL group prepend detect and pass this to node script and start playing a chord, you'll see that it's printed down here only the first note of that chord, or only one of the notes of that chord. But if I throw a ... in here, then MIDI notes becomes an array. And if I now play the chord, you can see all the notes of the chord played there. So this MIDI notes, so I'm putting this ... here, MIDI notes becomes an array that wraps all of the arguments, extra arguments that are passed to detect, in this case, each note of that chord. But we don't want to outlet the MIDI notes. We want to detect the chord. So we'll do const chords, because there's a possibility that there could be more than one chord present, equals detect dot chord MIDI notes. If chords and chords dot length is greater than 0, max API dot outlet chords. And let's do this. Let's do chords. So same thing here. We don't know how many chords are going to be detected here. By using the spread operator here in front of chords, we're taking chords, unpacking it, and passing each element of that array as a different argument to this outlet message. And that'll make things format more nicely in Max. And we'll do else max API.outlet chords unknown. Radical. And now back in Max, let's just do route chords, and then get rid of this for a second, and we'll do cell unknown. I'm going to move this guy up here for a second, and we'll do set prepend set, and make a comment box down here to store the name of all the chords that we're playing. Cool. So now if I play a chord, it should be detected. It doesn't appear to be working, and I believe that's because, you know what, it's because we're passing the raw MIDI notes, and detect.chord expects note names. Fortunately, that's super easy if we do use the tonal package. We can also convert MIDI notes into, so just the numeric value into a like, you know, C4, C5, D6 sharp or whatever. If we just do require tonal, and then down here I can just do const, so let's do const named notes equals MIDI notes dot map tonal dot note dot from MIDI. And then rather than passing MIDI notes to detect, we'll pass named notes. And now I've saved this, and back in Max, if I play a chord, look at that. It's a list of all the chords that could possibly, I guess this could be C suspended 2-4, or possibly D4, or possibly G7 suspend 4. I'm not a man of music theory, so this is all kind of a foreign language to me, but potentially could be useful if you were trying to figure out something about the chords that were coming in from some MIDI stream or that you were playing yourself. Probably the most interesting thing to do would be to go the other direction and to have the chord name somehow generate music, but I'll leave that up to you and to more peregrinations and perambulations with the node script, node for Max, and the possibilities that binding node to Max opens up. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope that revealed something about kind of what this tool set is for, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon in another Max tutorial. Take care.